All right, what's going on, everybody? So in this video today, we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics. It personally really hits home to me because of how much I struggled with this issue and how much I see a lot of other players out there struggle with the same issue. And what it's going to be referring to is the importance of your connection between the feet and between the pelvis. So if you haven't checked out my previous video on YouTube, please click the link below. I also got a free crash course for you on understanding impact. That link will be in the bio down there as well. Please give that a look, and let's go ahead, let's get right into it. So when we look at what we have in regards to our connection between our feet and our pelvis, this for me is probably the most important aspect for just about every single player to become a good ball striker without having to time a lot of compensation. So when we look at that, in between our feet and our pelvis, the only thing that we really have that can create a lot of imbalances or changes in what the pelvis can do are going to be our knees. So now when we look at this, so from right in here, if I am in control, I'm actually going to go this way. If I'm in control of my feet, my knees, and my pelvis, I can go lead side lateral flexion, trail side, extension, flexion, rotation. I have the ability to control everything from the pelvis up a lot more because this right here is basically our support system for how the upper body can move more functionally. When we lose control of these, our feet, our knees, and the pelvis, well, the crazy thing about the pelvis and the feet is if I have the knee go forward, typically, if the knee goes forward, the hip goes forward. If the pelvis stands up, the chest stands up. So now I'm left trying to time a lot of throw right here. This was my issue, 101 right here as a kid, as I would go there and I would hit these big old slinging hooks, blocks, chunks. I would thin it, and I'd hit golf balls like 6 hours a day just to learn how to time all of this stuff. So this is where we're going to talk about, give you a drill of how we can actually gain more control over the pelvis and the feet so that you have a way to start getting better at this. So I hope this video helps out a lot and hits home for you. So when we look at the feet, firstly, number one, we position the pelvis more underneath the rib cage. We're not going to stick the rear way outside. So we're going to position the pelvis more underneath it, create our counterbalance. I've got a crazy cool video on setup. Check that out if you haven't. So I'm not going to go over everything right here. So when I create my counterbalance right here, I'm in a position to be able to counterbalance the pelvis and counterbalance the movements of the shoulders. Now, when we look at the feet, this is one of my favorite pieces to do right here. So if I go in with my knees, this locks the ability for me to move the hips, and then my knees typically, they will become very active. When the knees become active, the pelvis goes everywhere, and therefore we then have to time and use our hand-eye coordination skills to flip, throw, release, whatever we want to call it, down at the golf ball. So what I like to do with the feet right here, number one, I'm going to angle them out somewhere in the neighborhood of 25, 30 degrees with each. The next thing I'm going to do is if I took this foot, I'm going to feel like I am corkscrewing this against the ground. So I can actually feel pressure moving to the outside part of my foot, inner part of my heel. And I'm going to do that right in there. So what this does for me, and I hope you do this right here when you're listening, that is going to engage muscles in the quads, the hamstrings, the calves, and the feet. I am now connected to what the ground is doing, because now when I start to create turn in the pelvis, my feet are actually creating torque or grip against the ground. That is going to help me with stability. Then my job is going to be to train what the knees and the femurs do. So the knees and the femurs, in my opinion, these should be acting movements based on how I move the pelvis. We'll probably have a little bit more extension in the trail leg right here. But anyways, we're going to save that for another day. So what we're going to do is we're going to gain a connection to the ground. Now from here, what this allows us to do when we create a turn, we work this back down here. When I'm in control of the ground right here, just as if I was hitting a slap shot in hockey, I can now use my trail side to work into my lead side that is a break. This is going to be creating more of an opposing force, but also a wall that I'm hitting up against right here. I'm not going to ask you to jump or push out of the ground. I'm going to ask you to grip the living heck out of it with your lead side. So for those of you who struggle, like myself, even to this day, this is something I still have to drill. For those of you who struggle with the right knee or the trail knee working in and forward, which creates pelvic movement that goes forward, early extension, stand up and throw, here is what we're going to use as a drill right here. So first thing I'm going to have you do, I'm going to go too wide for this drill. So remember this is too wide, but I'm going to use it as a demonstration for everybody so you can see how this would work right here. So if I put this basket of balls right here on this stick right here, I'm going to straddle this right here, okay? I'm going to create my grip with my feet, so I'm twisting them this direction, twisting them that direction, okay? Now from here, that is making my femurs and my knees work a little bit more outward, okay? That's for stability right there, and it also opens up mobility in what the pelvis can do right there, okay? Now from here, like me, when I was younger, I would have been, boom, I'd have been knocking this basket over very quickly. So what I'm going to have you do, and be aware of this, I'm going to tell you this is what it's going to feel like, and remember, this is a drill to go from one extreme to another extreme to be able to minimize this, okay? I'm not saying that this is going to be your end-all forever golf swing. This is a drill. So if I set up right here, my goal is going to be, once I work this up, bring it back down to where the shaft is parallel, I'm going to be working my trail side into the ball without my right leg ever hitting this, without my right leg hammering into this, to where I will be standing up, early extending, which is going to cause a lot of my contact issues. So if you have to, first things first, set up right here. I'm wider than what this basket is, and I'm going to just simply rehearse some feels. Get it down to here, right side through without hitting it. Work it back, get it down to here, right side through without hitting it. And you'll see my leg is still rotating internally. You can see where my seam line is. This leg is still rotating in, even though I've got space right here between my leg and the basket. I'm not asking you to look like this. I still want you rotating through with the hip, with the leg, just without it going forward and working in too quickly. That will cause you to disrupt your connection between the ground, the pelvis, and an acting knee movement, okay? So when we get into here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to place this right here in between my legs, okay? I've got the golf ball just in front of the center of where my body would be. I'm going to set up right in here. Get that guy a little more there so you can see this basket, the center of it is about in line with both of my shins right here. So now from here, I'm going to go right in here. Start off with little, simple, basic half shots, and just learn how to miss the basket and do a simple 9-3 drill. So I'd be here, miss the basket, 9-3, and you can see I've still got my hip flexion in. This is still lower than this. Nothing has stood up and early extended. And again, my big goal right here is to not feel like my feet and my knees are all over the place which would be disrupting the pelvis. So if we do that again, impact through. And there would be more of what my look would be. As I get better at that, I will start to lengthen it, and I'll start to move it a little faster. Because again, once I get this shaft down to parallel to the ground, where this stick is right here, this is where my right rib cage, shoulder, arm, these are all working in against this lead leg right here. So I'm here, and there's more of what my look would be without my leg ever hitting this basket. And I can feel that I am in control of what the ground is, and I can control my pelvic movements from moving this direction and that direction. Now, I would even say, I think you could get to a point, assuming that your setup is correct and in balance, that you can hit a full shot here without actually hitting the basket. I'll give it a go right here. And that to me was absolutely perfect and dead straight. So this right here, for those of you who struggle with very active knees, the knee, the trail hip moving towards the golf ball, work on this drill. Start off slow, record yourself, gain control of the feet, the knees, so that we can control the pelvis, which will then start to let us work on controlling what we want to do with our upper extremities. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please click that like button if you did. You can also click that subscribe button for future videos that I will be posting here on YouTube. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. In the link at the bottom as well, I have a free crash course on impact that you can watch. Please click that link, sign up. Thank you again for watching, and if you guys need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out.